Vicky here, and I'm going to do a video for you today. It could be a bit of a touchy subject for some people, so just bear with me. Basically, I lost a friend this week. She sadly passed away, and what I want to talk to you all about is grief and death within paganism and Wicca. I got given a really great book which helps with it. I got this last year with a friend. It's called The Pagan Book of Living and Dying. But what I want to go through with you at the moment is making room for grief. So I'll be reading a little bit from this book for you all, which may help anyone out there that is going through any form of grief or anything at the moment. Now, when someone we love dies, we grieve. No matter what we believe about death, no matter how convinced we are that our friend is happily dancing with the goddess in Avalon, a great gap now separates us from someone we long for. We've suffered a great loss. Loss can deepen us or diminish us. Grief can intensify our connection to life or drain our vital energy. To grow from our grief, we need to understand and honour the grieving process. Our grief is important for the dead. Our sorrow creates a current of energy that helps carry the dead to the apple lands. Honest grief is ultimately a self-healing process through which we eventually let go of our beloved one and find the strength to move on with life. Grief cannot be hurried, but grief is a process, not an end point. We may move through grief quickly or slowly, but we ultimately must move on. We cannot hold on to the dead, nor should we allow them to use our grief as a handle with which to pull us over to join them. We must each live our own lives. Grief can take many forms. So for this person, in this book it says, Dr. Bertha Simmons, in her book, A Time of Grief, identified many aspects of grief: sorrow, yearning, crying, but also anger, shock, denial, and panic, which can also be the aspects of the grieving process. We easily recognise sorrow, yearning, and crying as a form of grief. We may not realise that anger, shock, and denial or panic can be part of grieving. When we are grieving, we may feel helpless and dependent. We cannot function at our own usual levels of efficiency or responsibility. A sane culture recognises that after a loss we need time out from ordinary life and nurturing care from our community. We may express our grief by searching, misplacing our wallets, or never being able to find our car keys, as if we need to heal from the big wound of death by creating smaller losses of things that can be restored. We should be careful, however, because during this period we may create further losses for ourselves. Decisions about money, about the disposable property or belongings of the dead should, if possible, be postponed, or at least talked over with a close friend who is not in grief. Relief can also present in grief. When we perceive that death has brought the end of suffering, when the burden of care and worry we have shouldered for a long time is suddenly gone, when the ordeal is over, we naturally feel a sense of comfort. Relief does not diminish our love or lessen our loss, but it is a very real aspect of death, and one the pagan tradition honours. Repair is also the ultimate healer. In fact, when we are grieving, we may feel a whole range of contradictory emotions at once. We may be crying one minute, laughing the next, hating our beloved one's guts, while desperately missing them, wanting company only to decide when they arrive that we would rather be alone. Grief also spurs us to search for meaning in the specific life of the person we have lost. In our own lives, in life and death themselves, we may question everything we have ever believed, or embrace it more deeply than before. We may feel a sense of spiritual vacuum. Nothing may make any sense, or we may find some new system of thought to believe in. This aspect of grief can sometimes be most painful, yet in it lies our potential deepening and growth. What can help us through the painful period of grief is the loving support of others who have also experienced great loss. We need to hear each other's stories to learn from them. The variety of the ways we encounter the dark goddess. When someone close to us dies, we need to feel that the right things are being done, that the loved one is being treated with honour and respect. The rituals we create should help provide support for the bereaved, offer care both spiritually and practically during a time of vulnerability. Just as the dead person should not be left alone, those close to her or him should also be offered companionship, even just the slight presence of someone sleeping nearby. The primary mourners should not have to serve as priest or priestess of the funeral, or organise the memorial. A close supportive friend should take on the task. When we are grieving, we need most of all to know that our friend's life was the value. So rituals should include a time when people can speak of the dead person, share stories, and sometimes reveal facts that were previously unknown. When any dear friend... So basically now they're going to go into their aspect of what happened to them. So they've put, when their dear friend Stanford died of AIDS, this person was asked to priestess part of his work, of the wake. This person asked the friends and family there to share stories. Among the participants was a sister who had been estranged from him ever since they came out as gay man. At the end of the afternoon, she said with tears in her eyes, "Now I know what I have missed by cutting myself off from my brother." Painfully as that realization was, it was healing for her to know how much this person was loved and valued, to recognize that he was a person of courage, honor, and grace. Grief is work. When we are in actual grief, we should not attempt to do other work. She's put here, if I could legislate one thing for the pagan community, it would be to forbid anyone to work for at least 6 days after suffering a major loss. 9 days would be better. 3 days for the dead, 3 days for you, and another 3 days for gentle transition back to ordinary life. But the demands of modern life create enormous pressures to simply soldier on and meet the deadlines, get back to work. Even in the Jewish community, which has a biblical tradition of sitting Shavia 7 days of mourning, few people still take a full week. Ritual can help us move through the grieving process. Most traditional cultures have a timeline for mourning, things that cannot be done or things that must be done at important intervals. So basically, when my friend died, this is the first book I came to. But I also wish that I had this book and all this information when my dad died. It would have made more sense to me. But if this has helped anyone, I hope so. I hope this video has helped anyone. It's just a hard time when you do lose someone. But anyway, this was just a quick video for you all, and blessed be.